We are live. All right. How's it going, YouTube? This is Skull, and we are 1 hour, 1 minute, and 27 seconds away from the launch of SpaceX's fifth crewed spaceflight called Crew-3. I know it's their fifth. It's number 3. Just bear with me. So I do my best to cover these launches every single time they happen. This is my fifth time covering such a launch, as awesome as it is to think about. Hi Bork, and hello Kirby Kid. I know the last time I covered this was in September to cover the Inspiration 4 launch. And I basically started like 4 hours prior. No need for that this time, I feel. Hi Mario Man, how are you doing? Yeah, I cannot escape you, Bork. That is correct. So, what you see on screen is SpaceX's coverage of the mission. I am just screen capping it and rebroadcasting it to you guys. If you guys want to watch it without my commentary, feel free to head over to SpaceX's YouTube channel. That's just where I'm catching it. Got 43,000 people over there watching it. Tim Dodd, the Everyday Astronaut's doing it with much better commentary than I could ever give, and plenty of other channels. But for those of you who choose to stay with me anyway, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Hello, Gamer Braden. How are you doing? So, like I said, this space... okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1... T-minus 1 hour and counting. And I need to emphasize right here at the beginning, hi Shadow, that this is rocket science. This is space travel. Any number of things can happen that would prevent the mission from launching today. It's already been delayed by almost 2 weeks now due to weather. There's currently a 70% chance of good enough weather to launch in an hour. Just holding on to that, hope that it works. But if for some reason the Crew Dragon flight has to be delayed, then it will not be launching tonight. There's a 1 second launch window. It has to launch within that second, or it cannot launch today, because this is going up to the International Space Station. This is a crew rotation flight. Hello, Party Elephant, Kirby Kid, anyone else I might have missed? Hello. So, anyway, this is SpaceX's 5th crewed spaceflight, and their 4th operational crew rotation with NASA. Well, 3rd, I guess. Their very first flight was last May. You might remember that. A crew of 2 went up to the station aboard Crew Dragon Demonstration Mission 2. And then the following flight was called Crew-1 because it was the first operational flight of Crew Dragon. The first one was just a test flight. Hello, Isaiah. How are you doing? And Matthew. So we have had Demo 2, Crew-1, Crew-2, which just landed 2 days ago, and the 4th mission was not Crew-3. That is what is launching tonight. The 4th mission was actually Inspiration 4, which launched in September. I covered that on my channel. That was an amazing stream. We managed to raise $200 for St. Jude Children's Hospital. Absolutely awesome. Looks like we're getting some footage here from earlier today when the crew was getting suited up and ready to head out to their pad. Right now, the crew are in their pad, and they are in their capsule, and the Falcon 9 rocket is about ready to start fueling. Hello, Caleb. How are you doing? And Squid Yellow. When am I going to play Splatoon 2 again? Probably not. I probably won't be playing Splatoon again until Splatoon 3 comes out. So... yeah, there's been a lot of rain today in Florida. They're just hoping that when it's time to launch, the weather's good enough. And so far, it looks like things are going in that direction. Hi, Beta. How long is this going to take? Well, Squid Yellow, you can see right there at the top left of the screen that the countdown is currently at T-minus 57 minutes and 14 seconds and counting. So, yeah. Like I said, the crew is currently in their capsule waiting for the rocket to start getting fueled up. The pad closeout team is currently... can you see my mouse? Yes, you can. Okay, you see this big beam here? That's the crew access arm. The next thing we're going to see is that arm being moved away from the rocket. Then they're going to start fueling it up. And Yeah, I guess gamer if you want. Yeah, I'm gonna. I'm definitely going to let you guys listen in on the official commentary here and there. I'm just trying to bring you guys up to speed on what's going on right now. Also, I have the Crew-3 patch right here. Isn't that beautiful? Once they reach space, I will be adding it to my currently in space photo frame. So you can see there. So whenever there is an American spacecraft in space, I add the mission patch into there and leave it there as long as they're in space. So when they're in space, it'll be like that. They're going to be up there for 6 months. This is a station crew rotation, so they'll be up there until April. Currently, there are no American spacecraft in space. There are 6 people in space. 3 people aboard the International Space Station. When this crew reaches there tomorrow, then the number will jump up to 7. And there's also 3 people on board the Tiangong Chinese space station. So there's currently 6 people in space. And once these 4 reach space, hopefully in an hour, then there will be a total of 10 people in space for the foreseeable future, which is just really, really cool. October 31st, 2000 was the day that the very first International Space Station crew launched to the station, and since that day there has been a permanent human presence in space. October 30 of 2000 was the very last day that every single human was on planet Earth, which is kind of crazy. 21 years and some change, and we've gone from just 2 people in space at a time now to oftentimes 10, sometimes more. We've had as many as 14 people in space from time to time, which is just awesome. For those of you who don't know, space travel is the #1 thing I care about. It is my #1 passion. That's why I stream these. That's why I share this with you. And hopefully that comes across as I talk. So yeah, I'm going to let you guys listen in on the official commentary. Maybe there's something that they can say. Also, hi, Spider. How you doing?
To answer your question. And by the way, speaking of social, Kennedy is hosting a virtual NASA social on our Facebook page. People who have joined are posting messages, pictures, and videos with their fellow space fans. And we want to share now 4 video messages that came into our virtual social for Crew-3 that were posted by the last 4 crew members to fly on Dragon. That is the crew of Inspiration 4.
I want to wish the astronauts of Crew-3 all the best on their journey to the space station. It's going to be one heck of a ride. Falcon 9 and Dragon, as you guys know, is an incredible vehicle.
Hi everyone at Virtual NASA Social. I'm Dr. Cyan Proctor. I am the mission pilot from Inspiration 4, and I just want to wish Crew-3 an awesome liftoff as they head to the International Space Station.
Hi Raja, Tom, Matthias, Kayla. Hank's here just to wish you well on your mission into space. I couldn't be more excited for you for the journey you're about to go through. Getting into that Falcon rocket with your suits on that have your name on it is a feeling like no other.
Crew-3, I just want to say I'm so excited for all of you. I know that rush of emotion that you're going to feel with your spacesuit on, strapped into the capsule, and you're about to have the best ride of your life. Just laugh the whole way up there like we did.
Just want to wish you all the best, and look forward to exchanging some stories a little bit down the road. Take care. Godspeed, Crew-3.
I love Haley Arsenault saying that she laughed the whole way up.
I can definitely relate to that.
Can you really?
Yes.
Well, what was so funny?
It's an exciting ride. You're just happy.
You're just
gotta
so
laugh.
thrilled.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. And whenever she says anything, it always brings a smile to my face. She has such great energy. Well, throughout the program, we've been answering your Ask NASA questions from social media. We have time now for a few more before Falcon 9 fueling begins, and so we'll pop it up on the screen. And Shannon, you've been answering them all show long. We appreciate that. So the question we have up now is, what are your tips for me to go to space? I'm a high school freshman from Poland, dreaming of going to space.
Yeah, so the first thing, the most important thing is to do well in school. We need people who are very accomplished and have lots of different skills, and it all starts with a good education. Now, being from Poland, you're going to have to apply to the European Space...
Yeah, my mic is off. Okay, my bad. So those 4 people were... what I was trying to say earlier. The 4 people that they were sending the goodwill messages, those were the crew of Inspiration 4. They were on the private space mission that happened 2 months ago. You guys might have heard about it. At the very least, I covered it here on my channel. The goal of that mission was to raise money for St. Jude Children's Hospital. We raised $200 here on my channel to do that. And the mission overall earned $250 million, which is just insane. So that's what that was. This lady here is Shannon Walker. She is an astronaut. She actually went into space last November and came back this past April. She was on the Crew-1 mission. As a reminder, today's mission is called Crew-3.
Study hard and get some good grades.
Yes.
Our next question: does it get very hot wearing the spacesuits, or is the material breathable?
Yes, no, the material is absolutely not breathable because you need those spacesuits to hold pressure should something go wrong in the capsule. So you need it to completely contain that atmosphere around you. So they can get a little hot, but the entire time you're in the suit, they're flowing air through it to keep you cool.
You've got an air conditioning system for the suit.
Yes.
Blowing that air around.
Yes, exactly. You need the air
I take it you guys
around
can hear me now. My mic is back on.
with a carbon dioxide bubble right in front of your face.
All right. Thank you so much, Shannon, for answering those questions. And keep the questions coming. We appreciate them at #AskNASA. Now we'll send it over to Marie, who is standing by with the Deputy Director of the Kennedy Space Center. Marie?
Hey, I'm not the only one with the mic that's off.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be here with you, Marie.
And I wanted to ask you about a special connection that you have to Kayla and Raja, part of the Turtle class of astronauts in 2017. You were actually on their selection board. Tell me about that.
So actually, this is the, I mentioned this earlier, but this mission was originally supposed to lift off on October 30, which, what was that exactly, like a week and a half ago. It was supposed to launch a week and a half ago. It's been delayed over and over and over and over since then due to weather. Unfortunately, because it's going to the International Space Station, there is a 1 second launch window every day. Sometimes not even every day. Sometimes you gotta wait a few extra days. And if they can't launch during that 1 second window, they've got to recycle and wait for the next opportunity. So every day since October 30 that there's been a launch window opportunity, the weather just did not look good enough to make it happen. So hopefully today, 49 minutes from now, the weather will have cooperated enough that they can finally lift off. The weather delay actually resulted in the first time this has ever had to happen, where Crew-3 launched into space after Crew-2 returned. Usually, and this is what NASA always prefers, usually a crew is already up there when another crew launches up to the station. Then they can have what's called a direct handover of the station, where they can have everyone up there already and get everyone up to speed on what's going on, and just make sure that they have the permanent human presence up there at all times. This is stacking of the SLS rocket, by the way. This is exciting. This thing is going to the moon. And the next one that launches will have people on board going to the moon. But because Crew-3 got delayed so much, they finally were just like, you know what, Crew-2, we're going to have to bring you home. So they actually came home 2 days ago. There's currently no American spacecraft up there at the station right now. Hi, cool man. Yeah, I remember you. This is the SLS rocket. Like I said, this is NASA's next moon rocket. This is currently set to launch February. I think March is a more realistic time. And like I said, the next one of those that launches will go to the moon and will have people on board in the year 2024. That'll be the first time that people go to the moon since 1972. And I'm really excited for that development. I'm really looking forward to seeing that. Hopefully I'll see the launch in person of both the first one and the second one. We'll have to see. So yeah, a lot of exciting stuff coming up in the near future. We've got lots more Crew Dragon missions going on, crew rotations to the station, tourist missions to the station, tourist missions to high Earth orbit. We've got Blue Origin's New Shepard sending people into space. You guys might have heard William Shatner got to go into space a few months ago. That was that was the kind of rocket that he flew on. Of course, we got the moon rocket from NASA. Just a whole lot to look forward to for a space nerd like me.
Waiting for the SpaceX launch director to discuss the propellant load and launch poll results and give final instructions to the launch team. At this time, we have completed all checks on the Falcon 9 and the Dragon spacecraft. We're also checking with the Dragon mission director to make sure that they are ready to go. And right now we're waiting to listen for that launch director to come up. Now we have been checking, as I said, with the Dragon mission director.
The 4 astronauts are currently right here, this white tip right there. See how the crew access arm goes right up to it? They enter that hatch, sit down, their seats are right here. So yeah, this and that is the Crew Dragon. This is the capsule. This is what's called the trunk. This is where all the unpressurized cargo goes. The last Crew Dragon that went to the station, they put some solar panels in there that they attached to the station. It's a great way to take some unpressurized cargo up to the station, and a great way to get rid of trash on the way down. You literally just fill it up with trash because they ditch this and it burns up in the atmosphere when this comes in for a landing. Yep, Kirby? Yep.
The poll is complete, and teams have pulled go for propellant load and launch.
Okay, that's good. Go for launch and propellant load.
And stand by for hold
SpaceX
and
launch
protocol.
director says poll is complete.
For
brief the
non-urgent, no-go
hold
conditions,
and
brief
safety
CE or
protocol.
LD, and they will approve aborting the countdown. For
Okay.
urgent issues affecting the safety of the operation, operators shall call hold.
Giving instructions on the on what's going to happen in the next 45 minutes. So this is the 3rd Crew Dragon spacecraft. The first one was called Crew Dragon Endeavor. It flew into space twice. Its most recent flight just landed 2 days ago. The second one was called Crew Dragon Resilience, and that has also flown 2 flights. Its most recent mission was Inspiration 4. This one is called Crew Dragon Endurance. So we got a fleet of 3 Crew Dragons right now. SpaceX says that they might make one more, but that's all that they really need for now. Maybe they'll need to make more in the future to meet demand. But, you know, they're flying 6 times a year. They have 6 space flights scheduled for next year. And 4 spacecraft should be enough to cover all of those, which is just exciting.
In Florida, as we do, we are T-minus 43 minutes and counting, and just got some.
Retraction has started.
And there is the retraction.
There goes the crew access
Quick
arm.
shot of the Dragon moving. It's not moving. The crew access arm is.
Is moving away from it. Yep, and you can see that from inside the Dragon as well.
So real quick, did you see the NASA logo with all the signatures by it? Those signatures are of the astronauts who have flown into space aboard a Crew Dragon.
You can.
This pad that they're launching from, this launch pad, is Launch Pad 39A. This is a very historical launch pad. This is the launch pad that Apollo 11 lifted off from to go to the moon. Every single moon landing mission launched from this pad. More than half of the space shuttle missions launched from this pad. The Falcon Heavy rocket launches from this pad. This is a very historical launch pad, and it's really cool to see that it's still being used to send people into space.
And this crew access arm can move faster than it's doing right now under certain circumstances, right?
Absolutely. If it needs to go back to being up against the capsule, it can move quite quickly, actually.
So the next thing that's going to happen is that the crew is going to arm the launch escape system, which means in the event of an emergency, the Crew Dragon is capable of turning on its thrusters. You can see that little dent there, what I was pointing at, that is the thruster, and there's 4 of them. 4. And the Dragon is capable of turning those on and ripping itself away from the rocket pretty much immediately in the event of an emergency. So that's the first thing they'll do, is arm that, so that if anything goes wrong during fueling, they can pull themselves away. Of course, real emergencies are very rare, and we hope they never happen, but if they do happen, they're always ready. So that's going to be the next thing that happens, and as soon as the launch escape system is armed, They're going to start fueling the rocket. Once the rocket is fueled, lift off.
The opening there to the white room.
Crew access arm retraction complete.
And we just heard the call out that
Very
the
humid.
crew access arm has completed its retraction away from the rocket. And so up next,
Dragon SpaceX, you are go
We
for
wanna do a
section
little-
7 of 4.100. Close visors and arm the launch escape system.
Endurance copies, we're go
and that's
for
what's
section 7
up
of
next.
4.100.
Arming the launch escape system. And while we await that, let's take
Hi, Santiago. How are you doing?
Michelle Stone asks, as an astronaut, what moment does it become real that you are about to launch to space?
Hi, Apama. How are you doing?
You know, Michelle, it is.
I'm never going to
right
pronounce
about
her name
now.
right. I
So
apologize.
You know, everything else has happened according to plan, and this is really the final bit before you launch into space. So anything had gone wrong previously, the access arm was there, and you could just exit the capsule. Now it's just you and the rocket.
Close. We're arming the launch escape system.
And arming the launch escape
So
system, as we just heard that call.
it's hard to believe the United States had a 9-year-long drought between orbital space missions. Between the final shuttle mission and the first Crew Dragon mission, it was a 9-year gap. It was just crazy. It was the longest space drought in American history. But since that first Crew Dragon mission last May, literally only a year and a half ago, there have been a total of 5 Crew Dragon flights, including this one. And next year, in the calendar year of 2022, there are 6 flights that are planned. Not to mention Starliner hopefully getting its first crewed flight next year as well. So it's hard to believe that we had a 9-year-long gap, but then so many missions happening in such a short span of each other. It's just great. It's just exciting. Like I said, I'm a space buff. I care about this more than anything else. More than Pokemon, more than Splatoon, more than my YouTube channel. This is what excites me, space travel. I have a freaking mission patch for the mission, so yeah, of course it excites me. So, yeah. So it's just nice to see. This is mission number 5, and there's many, many more to come in such a short span of time.
On their suits on their left arm, what are they for?
Yes, good eye to notice that.
Good eye.
Good eye. Yes, that mirror is actually will let you inspect your spacesuit to make sure everything
There's
is
the mirror.
fine. So once you're in the spacecraft by yourself, if you open your visor and you need to shut it, you want to make sure, in my case, that your hair is not crossing the boundary and would interrupt the seal that is necessary to keep that pressure on the inside. So they use that to make sure their spacesuit.
So this look at the crew on the inside gives me the perfect chance to talk about them. This is the command. Oh man, I better look up their names so I make sure I don't botch them. This is the commander, Raja Chari. This will be his very first space mission. In fact, this is the first time that a NASA rookie has commanded a space mission since the final Skylab mission in 1974, which is it's crazy. The one to his left, who I guess I could back. I'm just going to back up. No, here we go. This guy here is Thomas Marshburn. This will be his 3rd space flight. He is the only veteran on this space flight. The other 3 astronauts are all rookies. Thomas Marshburn. This guy over here is Matthias Maurer, who is from the European Space Agency. He is German. This will be his first space flight. And then down here, just out of frame, below the frame, is Kayla Barron. This will be her space flight. It's hard to believe that she's only 5 years older than I am. Just crazy. She's still the average age that you could be as an astronaut, but it's just crazy for me to think that I'm getting older, so that astronauts making their first rookie missions are getting closer and closer to my age. It's just crazy. So yeah, a crew of 4. Crew Dragon is capable of carrying 7 astronauts. However, for station stays, there will only be 4, so that they can use the other 3 seats and replace them with cargo and experiments and stuff like that.
Another question from social media. Shannon, What was it like to feel the weightlessness
righty.
of space for the first time?
Oh, that is such an interesting feeling when that happens. Of course, I felt it for the first time on the Soyuz spacecraft. When we got into space and the engines cut off, to me it felt like we were sort of tipping forward. I felt like I was
Thanks,
floating
Haley, for the
forward
subscription.
in my harness that was holding me down.
That's
Don't know why. I don't think we were, but that's what it felt like.
Yeah. And not too long after you get up into space, don't you get ready to sleep in anticipation for getting to the space station?
It really depends on your profile. So what the Crew Dragon will do is what we did on our flight up, also had a 22-hour-ish rendezvous. They will go
T minus 36 minutes and counting. Hi, Subject Kit. How are you doing? Yeah, I can only imagine how exciting it must be to be in a spacecraft. Knowing that you're half an hour away from going to space, it's certainly something that I hope to experience someday. I don't know if I will, if I'll have the opportunity, but I'm hopeful. Like, this is the time in history where, at least compared to previous, where I'm most likely to have that kind of a chance. Fingers crossed that I'll be able to make it someday to be able to go to space. Even if it's just a suborbital flight like what William Shatner got to go through, I'd happily take that. But, you know, a trip to orbit, to the station, that would be a dream come true. But these guys are all trained astronauts. They're all people who have spent years of their lives, in some cases their whole lives, just preparing for this moment. To be able to travel to space, to go to the station, to spend 6 months just doing science and exploring. That's not something that I've done. I've spent the last 6 months streaming for EAS and 3D printing Pokemon. That's what I've been doing. Doing good, Subject Kit. Thanks. T minus 34:44.
They can feel it loading into the tanks. It starts low down at the bottom of the rocket, but it's
well, it's not exactly a huge price, Subject Kit.
the tanks get more full.
It's not something that I could afford, but it's not ridiculous. If you were to fly into space on Spaceship 2, then it would cost about $500,000. Thanks, Tiago, for the subscription. New Shepard, we don't know how much those cost. The top bid for the first flight was $28 million. There's no way that that's what the average price will cost. I think anywhere between $500,000 and $1 million is much more likely for the average cost. You know, if I was a humongous YouTuber, like, you know, top 50 channels, I would totally be able to afford it, and I would totally do it. But I'm not. And I don't treat my channel like a job anymore anyway. This is just a hobby. It certainly doesn't bring in enough money to pay the bills, much less save up for a trip to space. All I can really hope for at this time is just to get lucky, or for the cost to come down. We'll have to see.
These propellants feed the Draco engines that must maneuver Dragon on orbit, as well as the 8 Super Draco engines that would power the launch escape system in an abort scenario. And again, that fueling, it is flowing. And that means the 8 Super Draco engines
are they filling with fuel?
Dragon are ready. If needed, they can launch the capsule away from the Falcon 9 rocket in an instant, should there be any kind of emergency associated with the rocket or the pad.
Filling up this rocket is always fun because as long as they show the right angle, you can actually see... Sorry, wow, some saliva just trickled into my throat. You can actually see exactly where on the rocket the fuel line is, because that's where the water vapor starts to come off of it.
We're counting down those final minutes. Everything's still looking good for Falcon 9 and Dragon for an on-time launch just over 32 minutes from now. Falcon 9 did begin propellant load on time at T-minus 35 minutes.
Okay, it is loading propellant, but we can't see it yet.
First and second stages.
Trust me, though, you'll be able to see where the propellant comes from. This is the rocket that lands itself. I'm sure you all at least are familiar with that. This particular first stage has been used once before on a Cargo Dragon launch earlier this year. So this is cool. This will be the second time it's used, and the first time that a rocket has been used for both a Cargo Dragon and a Crew Dragon. I haven't played Among Us in so long, Subject Kit. I get way too competitive for my own good. I I get way too toxic in that game. I stopped playing it because I needed to. But hey, it's nice to hear that you're having fun with it.
T-Tub. Now when T-Tub comes into contact with oxygen, it'll burn, and that gives off a green colored flame. Once we've got the flame going, we add the kerosene fuel into the Merlin engine chambers, and the engine ramps up to full power. You probably won't be able to see the green flash at ignition of the 9 Merlin engines on the first stage, but you may see it on the second stage engine when it ignites following stage separation about 2 minutes and 48 seconds into flight. We're now beginning to top off helium into pressure vessels on both stages. We've been quiet for most of the countdown, but now we're going to squeeze that last little bit in, make sure that the tanks are fully up on the pressure vessel.
Okay, you see this steam down here? That's just water vapor. Rocket fuel is really cold, like hundreds of degrees below zero cold. Florida air, not so cold, and humid. So when all you have is a aluminum shell, a metal shell separating the really, really cold liquid from the warm, humid Florida air, you're going to get a lot of condensation. And that condensation is totally normal. Nothing to worry about whatsoever. You can see how humid it is in Florida today. Wow. They had rain earlier, and they'll have rain after the launch, too. Condensation's perfectly normal. It's nothing more than just water vapor. Just warm air hitting the super cold metal surface and just vaporizing. Nothing to worry about at all.
Less than 10%. The wind speeds are low, probably about 5 miles per hour or less. So everything is actually looking
30
good.
minutes and counting.
Now, as a reminder, we do have an instantaneous launch time for tonight's countdown. So from this point on, if we hear hold for any reason, we'll have to stand down and target our backup launch opportunity tomorrow night, which is about just under 24 hours from tonight's planned launch.
As I've said before, it is rocket science. It is space travel. It's hard. And when you have a 1-second launch window, that means if there has to be a hold or a delay or anything, if the weather doesn't cooperate, if there's a technical problem, anything in the next 30 minutes, that's going to be it. And I'll have to try streaming again tomorrow if that's when they decide to try and launch again. So far, weather is looking good. We're just going to have to keep hoping that it works. They are fueling the rocket, which means that they're pretty confident that it's going to keep going this way, which is good. The only time that a Crew Dragon has had the astronauts in the capsule and then had to delay until a later day was Crew Dragon Demo 1, which got the scrub at about the T-17 minute mark, I think. So if we're going to see a weather delay, it would probably be within the next 10 minutes or so. So we're going to have to keep listening in on the comms to see what the launch team says. And we'll have to see. And of course, here I'll just let them go through the timeline of what we should expect.
Now from there, at about 2.5 minutes into flight, we have a series of 3 events that will happen in rapid succession.
First is MECO, or Main Engine Cutoff. This is where all 9 Merlin 1D engines shut off in preparation for stage separation, which is our second event. This is where the first stage detaches from the second stage, with the first stage making its way back to the Earth for landing as the second stage continues on its journey with the third event. SES-1, or Second Stage Engine Start Number 1, is where the MVAC engine lights up and propels the second stage, along with our Crew-3 astronauts, into orbit.
As Stage 2 heads towards its targeted drop-off orbit, Stage 1 will execute 2 burns in order to make its way back to Earth. The first is the entry burn, where 3 of the 9...
Yeah, Stranger Reindeer. That's an excellent name. I like that. I would love to see one of these launches in person myself. I wanted so badly to see Inspiration 4 in September, but it was a week before I was about to go to Disney World. I couldn't justify going to Florida, coming back, and then just going back to Florida. So I had to miss out. I know that I will see a Crew Dragon launch someday. It's just a matter of time. And even if I wasn't able to, I live in Texas. Boca Chica is down about a 7-hour drive away. I could totally go down there to see a Starship. Hopefully. We'll have to see, but, you know, I'll see one of these do something someday. Something from SpaceX I'm going to see in person. I know it. It looks like the fueling is up to the C in SpaceX. At some point, they're going to start fueling up the second stage as well. They're going to wait till later to do that because it's a smaller tank. It doesn't need to be filled as quickly. So, yeah.
Super Draco engines that would be used during an abort scenario.
About 40 seconds after separation, Dragon's nose cone deploy sequence will begin. It will take roughly 4 minutes for the nose cone hooks to unlatch and open, exposing its guidance navigation controls, or what we call GNC, that will help the Dragon autonomously fly to the space station.
And lastly, once the nose cone is deployed, the remaining Draco thrusters on the forward bulkhead will be checked. From there, over the next 22 hours, Dragon will be in its rendezvous and approach phases, undergoing a number of phasing burns as it makes its way to the International Space Station. All that will be coming up soon, but for now, let's check back in with Sandra.
So, fun fact, this rocket continues to be the second tallest rocket that humans have ever launched into space aboard. The tallest, of course, was the Saturn V, which sent people to the moon, but this is the second tallest. Even the Saturn I rocket, which was used for Skylab, even that was a lot shorter. It didn't need to be as big. The Falcon 9 needs to be big. It needs to be tall because it needs to be able to land itself, which means more fuel. But it's still a really efficient rocket. So, yeah.
66. While on board, their official designation will be
Pretty sure this is a live view of the station, by the way. Oh man, look at that. What I wouldn't give to see that in person.
Command of the station from current space station commander Anton Shkaplerov. Flight Director Rebecca Wingfield is on console now, leading flight controllers in Houston for launch, and will also lead teams for docking tomorrow. A reminder that a launch today will take about 22 hours to get to station, with the docking to the Node 2 forward port scheduled tomorrow, November 11th at 6 p.m. Central Time. Once Dragon is fully docked to the station, the team here in Houston will assist the Dragon and space station astronauts with leak checks as they work to open hatches on both Dragon and inside the station's pressurized mating adapter. We expect hatch open to take place approximately 2 hours after docking. That's it for us here in Mission Control.
As I said, this is a crew rotation flight, so this crew launching into space today will spend the next 6 months aboard the International Space Station. They'll be returning sometime in late April.
Pretty capsule. This lady right here flew on one, Crew-1, not too long ago, and had an incredible experience. 6 months up on the International Space Station.
Yes, 6 months. It's hard to believe that I've been home 6 months already, but
here you are,
here
ready
I am,
to watch a launch.
Watching the next one go.
T-minus 23 minutes and counting. And if you're just joining us, we are ready for the third astronaut rotational flight and mission to the International Space Station under NASA's Commercial Crew program.
You could really see the condensation clouds now. As I said, nothing to worry about, to be expected. These guys are literally just twiddling their thumbs. They're ready to go. They just got to wait for the rocket to fuel up and for their 1 second launch window to come up. Right now, the International Space Station is looks like it is in the Pacific Ocean, about 1,000 miles off the coast, well, several thousand miles off the coast of Chile. It'll be passing over Panama in about, I'd say maybe 15 minutes, and then it'll be passing overhead the launch site shortly after that, and then the Crew Dragon will launch and catch up to it.
The entire first stage begins to let off, and it kind of gives you a marker of exactly where in the rocket they are. It's almost like a little fuel gauge.
Exactly. Yep, because the fuel and oxidizer are...
So the Falcon 9 rocket is actually not heavy enough to stand upright. If a strong enough wind were to press against it, it would fall over if it wasn't connected to the strong back. That's this big structure right here. It connects to the Falcon 9 rocket and keeps it upright until it is fully fueled. It's this big structure here. At some point, the Falcon will be strong enough and heavy enough under the fuel load that it'll be impossible for it to blow over, and that's at the point where they will unlatch the arms and move it back a tiny bit because it'll be able to stand on its own. That'll be only a few minutes before liftoff, and it'll move back something like 2 or 3 degrees. You know, it'll be noticeable, but it won't be much. And then it moves back all the way at T-0 liftoff.
What is going through your head in this moment?
Boy, this is really, you know, things get even more intense and more exciting. You can feel the rocket being fueled. You know you don't have too much longer, so you're really thinking about what you're going to need to do as soon as those engines light.
T-minus 21 minutes and counting. The excitement levels rising for the crew inside. Crew Dragon Commander Raja Chari, he'll be making his first trip to space. And as commander, he is responsible for all phases of flight, from launch to re-entry. Chari is a colonel in the U.S. Air Force. He holds degrees in astronautical engineering and aeronautics. Chari is also a combat veteran, having flown F-15E aircraft during Operation Iraqi Freedom and deployments in the Korean Peninsula. As a test pilot, he has accumulated more than 2,500 hours of flight time in various military aircraft. His pilot is Tom Marshburn, sitting right to his right. You see Chari there on the left. Marshburn is suiting up for his 3rd space flight. As pilot, he is responsible for spacecraft systems and performance.
This is the only member of the crew who has been to space before. All 3 others are rookies.
STS-127 and on the Russian Soyuz.
Load complete.
In Expedition 3435, while helping to assemble the International Space Station on STS-127. In that flight, Marshburn performed 3 spacewalks totaling almost 19 hours. It was just go, go, go. A North Carolina native holds degrees in physics and medicine. In fact, he was an emergency medicine doctor.
Yes, he was.
Mission specialist Kayla Barron, she's about to make her first trip to space. In this role, she will work closely with the commander and pilot to monitor the spacecraft during the dynamic phases of flight. The Washington State native has degrees in nuclear engineering and systems engineering. As a submarine warfare officer, she was a member of the first class of women commissioned into the submarine community, and she deployed 3 times while serving aboard
sounds like a plane.
the USS Maine. And lastly, on the end there in this shot is mission specialist Matthias Maurer. He will be making his debut spaceflight. He will be the 2nd European astronaut to fly on Crew Dragon. Maurer is from Sankt Wendel, Germany.
Don't I wish someday, Chris. We'll have to see. We'll have to see what God has in plan store for me, but you know, that's about all I could say. Maybe someday, I sure hope.
Maurer has spent 16 days in underwater training during a NASA Extreme Environment Mission Operations Challenge, and he's trained in sea survival training off the coast of China. And an interesting note about Maurer, he will become the 600th person in space.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
600.
Yes, even though all 4 crew members will be traveling to space at the same time, we have to assign numbers, and he is number 600.
He's landed on that big milestone.
That's just crazy to think about. He'll be the 600th person ever to go into space. That's just crazy.
You know, I believe I was number 518, but don't quote me. I could be wrong.
That's never thought about that before, Soul Master. You're totally right.
Yes. We'll figure it out. Each of these 4 crew members will join Expedition 66 once they arrive at the International Space Station.
Tom is stretching his arms.
Is currently commander of the space station. You spent some time as the commander?
I spent a very brief amount of time as commander, right at the end of our crew's time up there for about 2 weeks. I was commander after the Soyuz crew left.
All right. It was short?
Sweet.
But you were in charge.
I was in charge.
Sweet. All right, let's go over to OSB2 and check in with Marie Lewis.
Right about now is when they would have to scrub for weather. Okay, that's the NASA administrator.
Nelson, thank you so much for being here
This
tonight.
guy's in charge of NASA.
What a pleasure. What a great evening. Looks like
the rain has given us a break.
Yeah, it's clearing up. We've got a great view of the pad, and this must bring back quite a few memories from you. You launched from Pad 39A some years ago, and this is your first crew launch here.
I'm pretty good, Sol. Thanks for asking. Just excited to see the rocket launch.
So far.
Well, just to have an opportunity to try to offer some leadership to this fantastic organization that where the impossible is routine, and it's just such a tremendous organization. You know, it's been voted the best place to work in the federal government for the last 9 years straight.
Stage 2
so
box load
is
has
it
begun.
any wonder that everybody's excited all
They begun loading stage 2. There's no scrub on weather yet, so hopefully the next 16 minutes goes by without a hitch.
61C years ago. How did that experience change you, and how do you think it's going to change the astronauts that are going to space for the first time tonight?
It happens to every space flyer when you look back at Earth from the position of Earth orbit and you see this beautiful creation, our home, the planet, suspended in the middle of nothing. It makes you want to be a better steward of our planet. It's extraordinary. As you orbit the Earth every 90 minutes, and then, of course, the properties of microgravity in space. We're learning how to make new materials, new drugs. All of these things are going to come in a commercial operation that we're taking off the surface of the Earth and we're taking to space, and now we'll take it to the moon, and then who knows, we're going to take it on out into the cosmos.
And speaking of the success of this program, years ago, it was over 10 years ago, this program started. You were a part of that. There were a lot of skeptics at the time in the aerospace industry about shifting this low Earth orbit to commercial industry and this partnership with SpaceX. And here we are now. What does the success of this say about what we can do when we do it together?
And still, today, people have difficulty making that transition, but the proof's in the pudding. And the pudding is out there on Launch Pad 39A right now. A commercial operation with considerable NASA help and oversight, because when it comes to the safety of our astronauts, NASA's going to be all over it. There's the proof. A very successful commercial operation.
NASA Administrator Bill Nelson, thank you so much for your time. Daryl, we'll send it back to you.
All right, thank you, Marie, and Administrator Nelson. Some good words there about our future exploration
Less than 15
plans.
minutes.
Want to remind you, if you listen on radio, you can catch the frequencies
for
cool. Our local radio. If you're in the area watching out at one of the locations, you can check it out on local amateur VHF radio frequency 146.940 and UHF radio frequency 444.925. You can see it on your screen there. So if you need to step away from whatever you're viewing it on, be it your laptop, your tablet,
that's
you
cool.
turn on your
I didn't know they do that.
Be able to listen in. Now, as we get ready to launch in the final few minutes, we want to take a look at some pictures that have some particularly significant meaning to the crew.
Well, I know exactly what you're talking about, Floyd. If it helps, my mom was a teacher during that launch. So, I mean, I wasn't born. I was born 6 years later, so I can't imagine what it must have been like to see that. But not to worry. Everyone who's been involved with these spaceships have made sure that there's like hardly any way of anything to go wrong. And if something does go wrong, that there's way to save the astronauts' lives. So, first of all, also, hi Floyd, welcome to the stream. You can see the station right there. It just flew over, I guess, Panama-ish. It's going to fly over Florida here in a few minutes. And then the rocket will launch shortly after that and start to catch up. Where's Buzz Lightyear? Yeah, actually, Buzz Lightyear did go to the station in the mid-2000s. Like, no joke. You guys should look that up. Buzz Lightyear ISS on YouTube. It's really fascinating.
just over 12 minutes, and everything is still looking good for launch of Falcon 9 and Dragon. Falcon 9 did begin propellant loading on time at T-minus 35 minutes. The RP-1 fuel loading on the second stage,
12
you can
minutes.
see up at the top, the white cylinder at the very top of the stack. Fuel loading on that stage is complete. Fuel loading is continuing on the first stage. We're about 80% of the way full, and it will finish up at T-minus 6 minutes. The densified liquid oxygen loading is also underway on the first stage.
As a reminder, as with all of my American space missions, I have this photo frame. It says currently in space there at the top. So you can see it is empty because there are no American space flights going on right now. However, I do have the mission patch for Crew-3 for this mission that's about to launch. So when it reaches space, I will be putting it inside of the photo frame. It'll be nice and straight, of course. And I will leave it in there as long as the mission is in space. Which is planned to last all the way until late April, a full 6 months. I can't imagine spending 6 months on the station. I don't know. I feel like 6 months is too long, but 6 weeks is too short. Too short of a time.
They'll get their final instructions at T-minus 10 minutes. They'll be told to configure their displays for launch.
Apparently weather's still good, otherwise they wouldn't be counting down.
How the launch is proceeding and provide them constant updates on vehicle health.
I sure am, Master T, proud owner of every single retail amiibo.
And we'll hear continued call-outs,
including Metroid Dread ones,
as we get closer to liftoff. And finally, easy to say, range is go, weather is go. So right now, Courtney, we're coming up on T-minus 10 minutes. One of the things that we'll hear on Dragon flights that we don't hear on other ones is the abort call-outs during the countdown. Can you enlighten us a little bit on what goes on with that?
Yeah, John, great to hear that everything is going well. We're continuing to track that Dragon and Falcon 9 are ready for launch. But just in case anything were to happen, Dragon is fully prepared to initiate an abort. Upon
10 minutes.
liftoff, you'll be hearing number and letter combinations on Dragon's trip uphill, which will mark different abort zones throughout the flight, the numbers signifying the stage of flight and the letter as the abort
Dragon
zone.
SpaceX,
The
confirmed
first
crew displays are configured for launch.
Copy. Endurance displays are configured.
You can see the second stage venting right there, just making sure that the pressure is where it should be in preparation for launch.
First crew to fly aboard Dragon Endurance. We wish you a great mission, feel Gluck, Godspeed, and enjoy the ride.
Thanks, Sarah. And sometimes when you try to fly on Halloween, you get a trick instead of a treat.
Ah.
But, how honored and appropriate to get to fly Endurance on Veterans Day. We're proud and honored to represent the SpaceX and NASA teams as we head to the ISS to live and work on groundbreaking science for the next 6 months.
Veterans Day is tomorrow, although it's today Universal Standard Time. So, yeah, they were originally supposed to launch on Halloween. It's been delayed until now due to weather. Weather's looking good, so unless there's a last-minute technical hitch, which can happen, it is rocket science. But hopefully not, you know, knock on wood. But other than that, they're ready to go.
The big thing that happens there is we open the pre-valves that feed the Merlin 1D engines. So super chilled liquid oxygen will be trickling through the inlet to the Merlin turbo pumps, and that'll help chill those turbo pumps down before we hit them with the full flow of liquid oxygen during the ignition sequence.
Hi, Joshua. How are you doing?
Seconds before T0. So what we'll hear is a call out says stage 1 engine chill has started. We'll be monitoring all 9 engines to make sure the aux fuel pre-valves are all open.
This guy's just waiting, waiting. Not much else to do. Just wait. Got some webcast issues.
Second stage called out. Once we get into
There's over
flight,
100,000
a little bit
people
before
watching
2
the
minutes
official
into
SpaceX
flight,
stream.
We'll do a final chill of the upper stage.
You know, say what you will about SpaceX, but they have made space travel a lot more exciting to the average person, which I am always in favor of. I've loved space travel since I was 11, since the first time I saw Apollo 13. I've been absorbing myself with every piece of information I can find since then. And it's nice to see the general public finally gaining at least a bit of an understanding of space travel that they didn't have before. It's just exciting. I'm glad to hear that, Josh. Awesome. That sounds cool, Sean. I don't know if I've ever finished a Metroid game. I played the first Metroid for like 5 minutes. I think that's it. No. I did play Samus Returns for about 5 hours. I never finished it though.
T-minus 7 minutes. We'll listen in to the countdown now.
T-minus 7 minutes. They should be finishing up fueling soon, and then they got to retract the strong back.
Stage 1 engine chill has begun.
They've started pre-chilling the engines in preparation for turning them on.
Heard it. We're through another milestone. Next one coming up here at 6 minutes.
Yep, that's right, John. And that RP1 kerosene is filling that second stage. We're anticipating a little longer for that first stage to be completely filled with that RP1 refined kerosene. Liquid oxygen will continue to flow through the first and second stages up until the final few minutes before launch.
Oh, I'm sure I will sometime, Subject Kid. I'm sure I will.
That next call will be that the stage 1 RP load is complete, coming up now in about 15 seconds.
Oh man, I can
We'll
only
stand by for that call now.
There we go. I can only imagine how excited these guys are. I'll remind you, 3 of these people have never been to space before. They are rookies. This will be their first space flight. I can only imagine how excited they are.
RP1 kerosene. Now just under 6 minutes to launch until that instantaneous launch window today. The next milestone will be for Dragon to transition to configure for terminal count, and that's when Dragon's onboard computers will take control of the vehicle, and Dragon will be on internal power, no longer relying on those lines from the ground. From there, Falcon 9 tanks will pressurize for strong back retract. That'll be another visual milestones. The clamps just below Dragon's trunk will open, and the strong back will tilt back just 2 degrees.
It won't, Soul. It's literally impossible to end up like Challenger. If the rocket were to fully explode, the Crew Dragon is capable of pulling itself away pretty much instantaneously. So a Challenger-like disaster is basically impossible with this rocket. It's one of the safest rockets ever made.
Dragon isn't configured for terminal count. Falcon 9 propellant tanks are pressurizing for
Less than 5 minutes to go.
All right, John, some good calls. Dragon is now on internal power, and Falcon 9 propellant tanks are pressurizing for strong back retract.
Yes, thanks, Courtney. What we're waiting here now is the call out for strong back is retracting. This will be a 2-step process.
Let's light this
First,
candle.
We'll spend about half a minute opening up the arms that clamp around the second stage. And there's the call out.
There's the crew all ready to go.
So we'll slowly open up the arms around the second stage. We might get a view if we've got a close-up of the camera. Then once the arms are open, the strong back alongside Falcon 9 will retract about 2 degrees away from the rocket. It'll stay there all the way through liftoff, and then as Courtney mentioned, at liftoff, hydraulics will then pull it down to about a 45-degree position.
There's actually a reason for that. Squid Yellow. It's because SpaceX is not the company's actual name. Its full name is Space Exploration Technologies Corporation. So SpaceX for short. X is short for exploration.
We're hearing some of the venting of the vehicle as we are pressurizing and depressurizing at various steps. As we get ready, you'll see a burst
330
of depressurization there on the second stage.
That is a fully loaded, fully ready rocket. Okay, the clamps came off. And
that's right, John. We're also anxiously awaiting the stage 1 liquid oxygen is complete on the first stage. You should hear that call coming up here shortly.
And that'll be the final thing. Then we just wait for the launch window, the 1 second long launch window, and 3 minutes to go.
And confirmation that the stage 1 LOX load is complete.
All right. Let's get ready to put this patch
is going to continue loading on
in here.
Stage. That'll wrap up at T-minus 2 minutes.
Terminal count, internal power. Good.
Dragon's gone internal power. Now again, at T-minus 2 minutes, we'll finish liquid oxygen loading. And then a typical...
This mission is an International Space Station crew rotation. This crew will spend the next 6 months living and working aboard the International Space Station. They're currently set to return late April 2022. Also, hi, Jonah. I did not see that. I'm trying to avoid spoilers. But I am looking forward to playing those games next week. I will be doing a Nuzlocke series here on my channel. It'll be a video series, not a stream. Oh, my pleasure, Floyd. I love space, and I love
Stage
sharing...
2 locks load complete.
I love sharing information with anyone who's interested.
Is an auto idle.
All right, Falcon 9. With that, Falcon 9 is fully fueled. We have fuel on both the first and second stages, and both stages are filled with liquid.
1 minute 30 to go.
Filled with liquid oxygen.
30 seconds, we're going to hear...
Dragon is also in auto idle. The flight computer is on
Flight
board
computer.
Dragon, maintaining their calculations, standing by for the T-0 mark.
Okay.
That next call out will be that Dragon is in countdown.
Man, I bet they're excited. I bet those astronauts are excited. 3 of them are going into space for the very first time. In just a minute. This is always when I get so giddy right here.
FTS is armed. Falcon 9 is in startup and is now controlling.
Okay.
Dragon is in countdown.
50 seconds.
All right, the final minute before launch.
My favorite constellation is Orion.
47 seconds to go. Everything is
Dragon,
ready for an on-time
SpaceX,
launch today.
go for launch.
Go for launch.
Endurance copies, go for launch.
Space Dragon Endurance,
Ground teams are ready,
Crew
and
3,
Crew
go
3
for
is
launch.
ready for
30 seconds to
heading
go.
for that
30
instantaneous
seconds.
launch window.
Okay.
$20 seconds to lift off.
Here we go.
T-minus 15 seconds.
All fingers, toes crossed, everything. 10?
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Engine
0.
light
Ignition.
and liftoff!
Liftoff. God. 3.
Godspeed, Crew 3. Got a bit of a visual blip there, but that's okay.
Laboratory in orbit. The International Space
Let's go!
vehicle is pitching downrange.
Stage 1 propulsion is nominal.
Oh, look at that view! Look at that view! Oh man, what I wouldn't give to be there, see this. Okay, the next 2 minutes are going to go by really fast, and then after that there's a lot of stuff that's going to happen one right after another. We're going to see the second stage separate, we're going to see the first stage start its burn back, and then this webcast is kind of struggling, isn't it? 160,000 people watching on the official stream. I can only imagine how much Tim Dodd's getting.
Getting ready to throttle the engines back up.
Vehicle supersonic. They're already 10 kilometers up. They're already a tenth of the way to space.
Stage 1 throttle up. Max Q.
They're past max Q. That's good. Perfect. Okay.
Stage 1 Bravo.
Looking good.
Copy, 1 Bravo.
That 1 Bravo call is for the second stage abort mode on the first stage. That is going to take them through the first stage, burning just before the second stage activates off the
I can't wait
coast
to
of
see
North
the
Carolina.
rocket cams. They should be coming in a few
That
seconds.
next milestone coming
Maybe
up
half a
shortly
minute.
will be MVAC chill underway.
So the rocket is like that tall. It's just, you know, nighttime. So
Back chill underway.
okay, they're going to start pre-chilling the second stage.
Second stage engine turbo pumps ready for their ignition coming up in just.
There we go. Rocket cam.
We've got the major events coming up here shortly. We're going to get main engine cutoff at 2 minutes 36 seconds. The stages will separate, then the second stage will ignite, carrying Dragon on its way into low Earth orbit.
50 kilometers. They are now halfway to
Engines
space.
will look good.
2.
Stage 1 throttle down.
Stage 1 throttling down at 3.5 Gs.
3.5 Gs. Wow. I would weigh 900 pounds at 3.5 Gs.
Getting ready for MECO.
No, that's 700 pounds. This is looking into the engine bell of the second stage here.
Miko.
Main engine cutoff confirmed.
Stage separation.
Separation. And there's the second stage.
All right, we have ignition of the second stage.
And 100 kilometers, they're in space. Matthias Maurer just became the 600th person to go to space. First stage is beginning its preparation to land.
See the titanium grid fins coming out, the streaks of the exhaust of the second stage engine going by, and the lights of Florida down in the background.
That's
right, and on your right,
that's
that
beautiful.
second stage glowing.
Okay.
With that red color we like to see, indicating everything is proceeding well.
Okay, usually they have a timeline at the bottom of the screen
Everything's still on track.
showing off what happens next. But basically what's going to happen is for the next several minutes, the second stage is going to keep boosting the astronauts faster and faster and faster. They're going to get up to Mach 25, 17,500 miles an hour. That's how fast they need to go in order to be in orbit. They're in space. They need to stay in space. So the second stage here on the right is going to be busy doing that, while the first stage falls back to Earth in preparation of landing on the landing barge.
So that when the vehicle comes back through the atmosphere, the engines are pointed down towards the drum.
Yep, 600th ever, Sean. Matthias Maurer is number 600. The other two on board, this is our first flight. Two of the three on board, this is their first flight as well, but they basically said, nah, he gets to be number 600.
Apogee for another brief period.
Meanwhile, that second stage still propelling the Crew-3 astronauts up the eastern seaboard, and it will
since they are in space,
that's about a 6-minute burn to deliver the astronauts into.
Since Crew-3 is now in space, I have added the patch to my currently in space picture frame. This will be displayed prominently in the center of my room for the next 6 months. 5 minutes after launch already.
And the crew gets to hear it too on the call.
Acquisition of signal, New Hampshire.
Yep, exactly, Soul Master. You can go to space, but in order to stay in space, you need to go really fast. Basically, you need to fall around the Earth, but constantly miss. That's what an orbit is you're constantly falling around the Earth. You're falling towards it, but you keep missing. You need to go really fast to do that. You could go to space, but fall straight back down to Earth. That's called a suborbital space flight. That's the same kind of flight that Jeff Bezos and William Shatner have done.
And Courtney, right now on the second stage, it's such a large amount of propellant. It takes a while for second stage to really accelerate. The crew right now, it looks like they're pulling about...
Nominal.
Looking good. Looking really good.
Looks like we're pulling about 1.5 Gs.
Yeah, right on cue, those check-ins.
Here's an internal look at these astronauts. This guy, and that girl are no longer rookies. They now can claim they have been to space. Currently enduring about a G&a-half, so I would weigh about 300 pounds at that point. Definitely doable. This is this guy's third flight to space. Thomas Marshburn.
We're 1 minute away from entry burn of the first stage.
Yeah, Floyd, my chat says to talk about whatever they want. I don't care. Also, hi, Loopy. Yes, you're totally right. Yeah, Floyd, I'm passionate about space exploration. It's the thing that I love more than anything. My wife is higher. My family is higher. But, like, in terms of, like, subjects or topics or anything like that, like, this is number one to me. I love it more than Pokemon or Splatoon or even my YouTube channel. Just, it's number one to me. And I'm glad that I have the opportunity to share that with everyone else. And hi, Kanabo.
That next milestone coming at 7 minutes and 30 seconds will be entry burn start.
And you know what? It's not just any stable orbit that they need. They need to have an exact orbit that'll take them to the International Space Station. It's literally like firing two bullets 20 years apart from each other and they need to meet up going at Mach 25. That's pretty much exactly what it takes in order for this to happen. That's why there's a 1 second launch window, because that 1 second is the only opportunity that they could fire the second bullet to meet the first. First stage has started its entry burn. This is just to slow it down so it doesn't burn up in the atmosphere. It'll be doing its landing burn here in another minute or two.
Stage 1, entry burn shutdown.
Confirmation entry burn shutdown.
And this whole time, the second stage engine is still going.
Away from cutoff.
I think the second stage will turn off right as the first stage is landing. I think this happens first by a few seconds. I could be wrong. Maybe landing happens and then this, but they're basically right at the same time.
Stage 2 and terminal guidance.
Terminal guidance. Okay.
Shannon.
Copy, Shannon.
There's that call for Shannon.
Stage 1 is transonic.
Okay, stage 1 is now going slower than the speed of
Stage
sound.
1 decelerating as we prepare for entry burn, but our attention is right now looking at stage 2.
SpaceX is a private company. The relationship between them and NASA is that they rent facilities from NASA. Okay, here comes the landing bird for stage 1. SpaceX is a private company. NASA is a government company. That's the relationship. NASA rents from SpaceX borrows from SpaceX these capsules.
The second stage has done its job. Our Crew-3 astronauts have been delivered into orbit.
That's weird.
Stage 1, landing
looks
leg
good
deploy.
though. That looks good.
Landing leg deploy.
Endurance copies. We feel Pico and Sile confirms we are in space.
Oh.
Dragon SpaceX launch escape system is disarmed.
Sounds like they landed. Crew-3 is now in orbit, and it sounds like the first stage landed safely.
And we've heard the call out. Stage 1 landing is confirmed.
There we go. Okay. So to further talk about SpaceX and NASA, SpaceX is a private company. They make rockets, they make spacecraft, they make stuff like Starlink satellites. They do have to rent the launch facilities from NASA to launch from Pad 39A, like they just did with this space flight. They are in space. Look at that zero-G indicator. What is that? It's a turtle! I think that's a turtle. Look at that. They got a little turtle. That's their zero-G indicator. That's totally a turtle. All right. So SpaceX builds Crew Dragon spacecraft. NASA rents out, basically they buy a flight from SpaceX to use their craft, but NASA's not the only customer. There are many, there will be many more in the future. So NASA rents things from SpaceX, SpaceX rents things from NASA. It's a symbiotic relationship, but they are two completely separate entities. That's the best way that I can describe them. How do they get out? There is two hatches. There's a side hatch, which is how they got in. That will not be opened up again until April when they come back to Earth. And then there is a hatch at the very top of the spacecraft that it's underneath the nose cone on the very tip of the spacecraft. There is a hatch there that will dock to the International Space Station. They will float through that to get into the station tomorrow. It'll take them 22 hours to catch up to the station. And then they'll start living there and working there for the next 6 months.
That's right, John. Separation coming just 10 seconds from now. Standing by for that call.
So the second stage has done its job. Now it's going to separate from Crew Dragon, leaving Crew Dragon all on its own, ready to go to the station.
Expected loss of signal, wallops.
And again, we are standing by.
You can see how fast they're going, 27,000 kilometers an hour. There we go. This is the Crew Dragon. This is the second stage. The camera is on the second stage looking up into the Crew Dragon. So that is Crew Dragon slowly floating away. Space is slow. It has to be. Its orbital mechanics are not intuitive.
And Endurance, LD here. On behalf of the SpaceX launch and recovery teams, it was a pleasure to be part of this mission with you. Enjoy your holidays amongst the stars. We'll be waving as you fly by. Cheers.
There's the crew again. Yeah, that's totally a turtle.
Wow. Incredible views of the crew now in orbit on their way to the International Space
It was a great
Station.
ride, better than we imagined.
And some
What a
final
great
notes from the
launch.
crew as well.
Now they're in space on their way to the station.
There they are, our Crew-3 astronauts. Now in orbit. That next milestone will be the deployment of the nose cone. That'll be about a 5-minute process. It'll expose those forward.
I think real turtles could live in space, mainly because they have. The very first thing to go to the moon and come back with living things on board was a Soviet Union spacecraft called Zond. I think 5 or 6. I think it was 6. I could be wrong. But it was called Zond, and it had turtles on board. It launched, it flew around the moon, it came back, and the turtles were recovered safe and sound. So yeah, turtles can totally live in space. Yeah, these spacesuits are nice looking. They are futuristic. And guys, oh, hello Twilight Man, the Twilight Man EXE.
SpaceX nominal dehumidifier activation and service section Draco checkouts.
Look at Kayla.
Endurance copy, VTSA will be opening advisor shortly.
There were several with
It
dogs.
was a beautiful launch from here.
That was a beautiful launch, and that's where the coverage is going to end. So, guys, thanks so much for sharing this with me. The past hour has been just amazing. I'm so glad that the launch happened on time. We got 4 great astronauts in space now to join the 6 that were already up there. 10 people now in space, with many, many more to come in the next few months. Thanks everyone so much for sharing the stream with me. It's been great. I am so happy that I get to share my passion with all of you and that there's people who are interested in watching it with me. So the next space crewed launch I think is Axiom 1 in February. Whatever the next crewed orbital spaceflight is, I'll be streaming it here on my YouTube channel. In the meantime, I'll try and be back tomorrow with some Dynamax adventures, and of course, Saturday, I will be releasing my video showing off my newest 3D printed Pokemon. And next Friday, we have Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl coming out. I will be beginning my Nuzlocke of Brilliant Diamond on Friday. Thanks everyone so much for watching. I'm so happy I got to share this with you guys. Everyone have a great day, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.